Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are having yourselves a great 4th of July. I definitely was. I was here on vacation in Arizona, just having a peaceful 4th of July holiday. And then Major League Baseball released the final All-Star voting results. So basically, we know who's going to be representing each conference this year for the All-Star game. And yeah, we know the entire All-Star roster. And I know it's difficult in any sport when you have an all-star game, and so many players are definitely having great seasons and are deserving of representing their team and their conference in an all-star game. So there's always going to be snubs, players who deserve to make it but just didn't make the final cut. And I get that because a lot of times there's a lot of all-star worthy players but just not enough spots for them. So I get that, I'm okay with some players not making it just because there wasn't enough room. But sometimes, pretty much every year, there's a few players that them missing the game is inexcusable. They've played way too well to be left off the roster. And I know I might be a little biased, just a little bit, because I'm a Dodger fan, okay? So each fan of whatever team, they're going to say, oh, this player on my team should have made the All-Star game and they got robbed, they're a big snub. I get that, and you're probably right. There's probably several snubs like there are every year. But as a Dodger fan, I have a close view of my own players. So when I say a Dodger got robbed or snubbed or whatever, yes, I might be biased because other fans may not be as adamant about that statement or that belief. But I've seen all the players on my team close up, and I can tell you when I feel like they are deserving of that spot on a roster, on an all-star roster. So, oh my God. Okay, first of all, this is a rant. Okay, let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not call this just a discussion. I'm going to kind of go off here, and just for entertainment purposes, I have to and also just to get this off my chest, because from a Dodger fan, I just have to unleash this, okay? So let me know in the comments if you're not a Dodger fan, or just let me know who you think got snubbed. Of course, there's probably several snubs, so let me know. We're going to discuss it. But for this video, and this video alone, this is a Dodger fan ranting about the disgrace that Major League Baseball has done. The blasphemy that I've experienced in the last several minutes when I got the news broken to myself. And so let's just talk about it, okay? First and foremost, Max Muncy, right? It's not a question. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. You don't have to be a Dodger fan to believe this. Everyone will agree with me unless you're a hardcore Braves fan. Max Muncy should be the all-star starter for the NL at first base. It's not a question. Yes, if you want to look at counting numbers like home runs, RBIs, and runs, him and Freddie Freeman, they go toe-to-toe. But Max Muncy has had a much, much better on-base, much better on-base plus slugging, and he's played less games. He was on the IL. He missed 10 to 12 games. And Freddie Freeman, he's a superstar. He won the MVP last year. So he's the type of guy who will be an all-star pretty much every year. So this one year, Max Muncy, who has been an all-star one other time, but he's obviously not the perennial superstar that Freddie Freeman is. This one time, in less games, he had better numbers than Freddie Freeman, and he was a better defender up to this point in the year. He should have absolutely been a starter, okay? So he didn't make the All-Star team as a starter, but he did make it as a reserve. So that doesn't tick me off as much as other players. Okay, Chris Taylor made the All-Star team, right? Well-deserved. I'm glad he made it. He's a first-time All-Star, right? And he shouldn't be a starter. He's a reserve. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But here's where I get upset, okay? Starting with this. Mookie Betts is a perennial superstar. I love Mookie Betts. He was great last year. He was a huge difference in helping us win the World Series, and he was a superstar in Boston, great player. But in this particular year, he's not an all-star. Okay, he's had a down year up until this point. Yes, he can have a great second half and pick it up, but to this point, he's not an all-star. Okay, he's hitting under 250. The counting stats for Mookie's level, they're not there. Okay, he should not be an all-star. Instead, Justin Turner should be an all-star, okay? He's hitting almost 300, and he's only been an all-star one other time. And in terms of third baseman for the NL, he's putting up the best numbers. He's having the best season. I know Arenado's played very well. Chris Bryant was amazing in the beginning. and kind of cooled off, but still had an all-star level season. But Justin Turner should be not only on the roster, but should be starting as a third baseman. But you know what? Not only is he not starting, he's not even on the roster. He didn't make it, okay? Now we get to where I really get agitated. Okay, Clayton Kershaw, right? He's having another very good year, but maybe not up to his standards in terms of run prevention. So I think he's worthy of being an all-star like he always is. But him being left off, I get it, because there's so many great starters in the National League. There's so many great starting pitchers in this league. So I get that, yes, maybe this year it's not a no-doubter that he should be an all-star. So I get him being left off the roster, okay? And Trevor Bauer, he's had a very good season his first year in LA. But obviously, okay, he could be an all-star. He's played like an all-star. But obviously with the allegations going on with him, and they're still, and it's not like he's been unbelievable. He hasn't been as good as last year. So those two things combined, I get why he's not an all-star either. But two pitchers for the Dodgers, Walker Bueller, right, and Kenley Jansen, should absolutely be all-stars. And like this pisses me off because Walker Bueller, his ERA, I think it's 2.35. He's 8-1, okay? He's pitched the entire season. And Kenley Jansen is back to his old self. His ERA is phenomenal. Okay, if you just look at the all-star rosters, right? Josh Hader, Alex Reyes, and I believe Mark Melancon are the three closers on the roster. Okay, three relief pitchers. Or there's more relief pitchers, but I think if we're talking about closers, those three guys were also on the roster. I may be missing someone. If I am, I'll edit it in later. But yeah, I don't want to say you have to take this specific player out, but Kenley Jansen has been phenomenal. This might be his best year up to this point, like ever. And for him not to be an all-star, and for Walker Bueller, who's having a phenomenal season, for those two to not be all-stars is ridiculous. And you know what? Okay, and there's also one other thing I want to rant about. The rule that every major league team should have an all-star, I think is ridiculous, because some teams just don't have a good enough player to be an all-star. Like the Diamondbacks, right? They should not have any all-star. No one on the Diamondbacks is good enough to be an all-star. Let's be honest. But they're going to have one. And I don't remember who it was representing them. I'll probably put that in as well in the video because I forgot. But whoever it is, no one on that roster should even be considered to be an all-star, okay, for an all-star position. And then for the Rockies, right? They don't really have an all-star deserving player, but you know they gave Herman Marquez that role. He's going to be a starting pitcher. He made the All-Star team as a starting pitcher, and yes, the game's in Colorado, but still, Walker Bueller should not be missing the All-Star team, and Herman Marquez making it. That's just ridiculous. You look at the numbers side by side, and just the performance it's not even close. Walker Bueller. If you're starting a franchise, you're starting it with Walker Bueller over most other pitchers on this roster. But, you know, there's definitely a lot of good pitching, like I said. So many players are deserving. But big picture, you're robbing players. Okay, what this does is having a player from every team make it is robbing players who are more deserving of making it just because they're not the only all-star on their team. And that's wrong. You got to go by performance. Basketball does that. Football does that. I don't know why baseball feels like they have to have every single team represented. Now, let me give you an example. This doesn't mean, oh, don't put the bad players on the all-star team because their team's bad. For example, Cedric Mullins, right? The outfielder for the Orioles. He's had a great season. He's definitely deserving. But there's some teams that, and he made the team, which he deserves it. I'm saying there's some teams that just have no player that's played like an all-star at all, like the Diamondbacks, right? Or, you know, the Tigers. I hate to say it, but just several of these teams, they don't have all-star worthy players, and I get that it's, you know, for the fans, you want every team's fans to have a reason to watch the all-star game, but at the same time, you want to watch the best players, okay? So to not have a player on an all-star team and he's losing his spot to someone who's only on the team because he's probably had the best season on his team, but isn't good enough to actually, he's not having an all-star caliber year. That's my problem. That's the problem with having to have one representative from each team. I just don't like that. I think it's a crime that the Dodgers, who are tied with the Giants, or it's either a half game ahead or behind, they're like right there with the Giants for the best record in the National League, and they're right up there with the best record in the entire league. The Dodgers are the defending champs. They have zero all-star starters, okay? No pitcher on the Dodgers made the all-star team. They're second in the league in ERA, and it's the Dodgers. They always have a good pitching staff. How are there no starting position players for the Dodgers in the all-star game? How is there no pitcher at all? No starting pitcher, no relief pitcher for the Dodgers makes the team. What is this? The best teams have the best pitching, so how is it that the best team, arguably, has no pitcher on the team, and you could argue 3 of their starting pitchers and definitely the relief pitcher, their closer, Kenley Jansen, deserve to make it, and none of them make it, and it's just ridiculous. Even if you're not a Dodger fan, you have to admit this is ridiculous, and I know I'm going to be biased, I'm going to be extra upset, but this is just wrong. Like, if you look at, I know tonight watching SportsCenter probably, or wherever I go, MLB Network, they're going to talk about, who got snubbed. They always talk about this. It's going to be Kenley Jansen, Walker Bueller. Those two, I guarantee you so many people are going to be talking about that because that is ridiculous, okay? So I'm glad I got that off my chest. And, if there's one bright side, usually what happens with starting pitchers is that at least 1 or 2 of them don't make the team. Or they end up not playing in the game because they started a day or 2 before the actual game. So there's always replacements, players who get selected to replace the player who's not going to play in the game. So in all likelihood, if even a single starter in the NL isn't there, Walker Bueller will be there instead, probably. And same with the relief pitcher. If they're not available, they've pitched several days in a row, Kenley Jansen will replace them. So I think it's likely that they will. But just the fact that they have to hope that someone doesn't play is ridiculous because those guys are playing great. I've seen it. I've watched every Dodger game. I'm a big-time Dodger fan. Trust me. This is ridiculous, okay? Ridiculous. They shouldn't have to wait for someone or hope someone doesn't play for them to play. They should be all-stars. Kenley Jansen, Walker Bueller, okay? Muncy should be starting, and Justin Turner should make the team instead of his own teammate, Mookie Betts. I know they play different positions, but you know what I mean. Mookie Betts should not be an all-star. Justin Turner should be, definitely. Muncy should be starting. Bueller, Jansen, what are you doing, MLB? I'm sorry. Those guys, go look at their numbers. Go look at their numbers and tell me they're not all-stars. All the guys I just named. Go look at them. All right, guys. Hope you guys have a great 4th of July. Glad I got that off my chest. I'm still pretty upset, and I'm sweating, partially because of the heat, but also there's a good chance that this has to do with my frustrations. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later.